This image shows Yang Ni-hua, a survivor of child trafficking in China, reacting after learning that her parents had died before she could reunite with them following 26 years of separation. The photograph highlights the long-lasting human impact of abduction and trafficking on victims and their families.
This image features life-sized driftwood sculptures by Nagato Iwasaki. Created from wood collected on Japanese beaches and assembled without nails or glue, the figures are known for their haunting human forms and are often displayed in natural settings, such as forests. This photograph shows a shoebill stork being sheltered indoors during World War II, likely by Berlin Zoo staff who took vulnerable animals into their homes for protection during the bombing of Berlin. The image reflects the extraordinary efforts made to save animals, as only a small fraction of the zoo's roughly 4,000 animals survived the war. This image shows a 1965 workout log attributed to Bruce Lee. The routine emphasizes full-body strength training, with exercises such as squats, bench presses, curls, and sit-ups, reflecting Lee's early focus on building strength, athleticism, and conditioning, alongside his martial arts practice. This photograph is associated with the liberation of Dachau, the liberation of Dachau concentration camp by U.S. forces near the end of World War II. It depicts the chaotic aftermath of liberation, when survivors confronted captured guards after years of imprisonment, brutality, and suffering in one of Nazi Germany's most notorious concentration camps. This image shows the planet Mars, the fourth planet from the Sun, known for its reddish appearance caused by iron-rich dust on its surface. Mars is a cold, desert-like world with a thin atmosphere, and it features large volcanoes, deep canyons, and evidence of past water activity that continues to be studied by missions such as NASA's Curiosity rover. This composite image, Lunar Curve by Georgia Hofer, shows the moon's changing position and phases over a full synodic month. Captured from the Italian Alps, it combines photographs taken from the same location over roughly 28 days to illustrate the moon's gradual movement across the night sky.
This photograph is a Taisho era, 1912 to 1926, mirror self-portrait of a Japanese couple, captured using a large format folding camera. It shows a rare, candid, and affectionate moment reflected in the mirror, offering an informal and personal contrast to the more formal portrait styles common in early 20th century Japan.
This image shows a rare atmospheric phenomenon where Mount Rainier casts its enormous shadow onto a layer of clouds at sunrise. As sunlight rises from behind the 14,411-foot peak, the cloud deck acts like a screen, projecting the mountain's triangular shadow across the sky, typically visible from areas southwest of the volcano, such as Tacoma or Ording, Washington. This conceptual sculpture, You Were on My Mind, also known as Always on My Mind, was created in 2014 by Belgian artist Thomas Leroy. It uses bronze and glass to symbolize the destructive cycle of alcoholism, drawing inspiration from the proverb about alcohol's consuming effect, and was later exhibited in the 2015 Glass Tress exhibition at the Venice Biennale. This image shows a person standing near signage in Iran, instructing visitors to observe Islamic hijab, and it is circulated online in contexts related to discussions about hijab rules and occasional acts of public defiance. However, the exact setting is sometimes misrepresented, as similar imagery has also been linked to commercial locations rather than confirmed protest events. This image shows a trompe-l'oeil mural in Paris, designed to create a melting visual illusion on a Haussmann-style building under renovation. Although it appears distorted or three-dimensional, it is actually a flat painted artwork applied to construction hoarding, created to disguise ongoing building work while maintaining the street's visual appeal. This image shows the Soviet Tango-class diesel-electric submarine B-307, now displayed at the Park Complex of Equipment History named after K.G. Sakharov in Tolyatti, Russia. Once part of the Soviet Navy, it was decommissioned and later transported to the museum site, where it serves as a static exhibit, rather than an active or abandoned vessel at sea. This image is a digital artwork showing a ship dramatically stranded on a rock formation, and is often mislabeled online as a real historical wreck scene. While it is sometimes associated with the Cayman Islands wreck of the 10 Sails, the original event involved ships wrecking on a reef rather than landing atop a rock, confirming that this widely shared image is a fictional, edited composition rather than a real photograph.
This image is widely regarded as AI-generated or digital concept art rather than a real photograph, showing a fantasy-style overgrown library where nature has reclaimed an abandoned structure. It is commonly shared online with labels such as AI art or digital illustration, reflecting its artificial, imaginative design rather than a real-world location. This image shows Ta Prohm, a 12th century temple in Siem Reap, Cambodia, built during the reign of King Jayavarman VII. Known for its dramatic jungle setting, the temple is famous for massive tree roots growing through its stone structures, creating a distinctive lost-in-the-forest appearance. This image shows the abandoned Hotel Ponele, also known as Casa della Trota, on the western shore of Lake Garda in Italy. Built in the 1970s, it operated successfully for years before closing due to its difficult and isolated location. The structure has since remained empty and deteriorating, with restricted access and surveillance around the site. This image shows the Asuka wooden roller coaster at the former Nara Dreamland theme park in Nara, Japan. The park opened in 1961, was inspired by Disneyland, and operated until its closure in 2006. After it shut down, the abandoned coaster became widely known among urban explorers before the entire site was eventually demolished.
This image shows Dunalastor House in Perthshire, Scotland, a 19th century Scottish baronial mansion built around 1859 for General Sir John Macdonald. Now largely ruined and abandoned for decades, the structure is fenced off due to safety concerns and remains on private land near Schiehallion. This vintage photograph shows women at a beach wearing typical 1920s swimwear, including modest one-piece bathing suits and decorative swim caps. The image reflects early 20th century beach fashion, when swimwear was designed to provide greater coverage than modern styles, while still allowing recreational swimming and seaside activities. This image appears to show an early 1900s light delivery wagon, a motorized commercial vehicle used for transporting goods during the early years of the automobile industry. Vehicles of this type, including models produced by Oldsmobile and other manufacturers, helped businesses transition from horse-drawn transport to motorized delivery services in the early 20th century. This photograph shows a temporary hospital established in Melbourne's Exhibition Building during the 1919 Spanish influenza pandemic. The facility was part of a network of emergency hospitals created to treat large numbers of patients during the outbreak, which caused thousands of deaths across Victoria and placed immense strain on public health services. This 19th century family portrait is often cited in discussions of Victorian-era post-mortem photography, a practice in which deceased loved ones were photographed as memorial keepsakes. However, based on the image alone, it is usually impossible to confirm whether any subject is deceased, as the serious expressions and rigid poses were also common features of early photography due to long exposure times and photographic conventions of the era. This image shows the auto icon of philosopher Jeremy Bentham, displayed at University College London. Following Bentham's wishes, his skeleton was preserved and dressed in his clothes, while a wax head was created after attempts to preserve his real head proved unsuccessful. The actual mummified head was later removed from public display because of repeated pranks. This image shows Josephine Myrtle Corbin, an American sideshow performer born in 1868 who is known for having a rare congenital condition called dipygus, resulting in partial duplication of the lower body. She became famous in traveling circus shows as the Four-Legged Girl, and later retired from public performance after marriage, living a relatively private family life while remaining a well-documented figure in medical and circus history. This image is a creative print advertisement for Tide, developed by the advertising agency Leo Burnett. It uses a striking visual metaphor to emphasize the product's cleaning power, presenting a messy, fish-filled room to suggest Tide's effectiveness against extremely tough stains.
This photograph is associated with the 1943 Zoot Suit riots in Los Angeles, a period of violent clashes in which Mexican-American youths wearing zoot suits were attacked and stripped of their clothing by servicemen and civilians. The image is credited to Associated Press photographer Harold P. Matossian and is often used to document the racial tensions and civil unrest of that era. This alleged 1905 image is often circulated as a Wild West story involving the exhumation of outlaw John Shaw in Arizona, but there is no reliable historical record confirming the identity, event details, or staging described in such captions. It is typically treated as an unverified or mythologized frontier-era photograph, reflecting how Wild West imagery is frequently embellished or misattributed in modern retelling. This image is attributed to Argentine photographer Pedro Luis Rayota, known for his dramatic black and white documentary-style photography focused on human emotion and social themes. His work, including the piece often titled Death in the Street, is recognized for its strong visual storytelling and its emphasis on poverty, grief, and everyday human struggle. This iconic photograph, VJ Day in Times Square, was taken by Alfred Eisenstadt on August 14, 1945, for Life magazine. It captures a spontaneous moment of celebration in New York City's Times Square, marking the end of World War II, widely known as VJ Day. This image shows the Bellmouth Spillway, often called a plug hole, at Lady Bower Reservoir in Derbyshire's Peak District. These large, circular overflow structures help regulate water levels by safely channeling excess floodwater away through underground tunnels, and they typically become fully visible or active only during periods of heavy rainfall. This image shows rejected architectural proposals submitted for the 1889 Exposition Universelle in Paris, a competition ultimately won by Gustave Eiffel. The designs reflect 19th century debates over how to create a modern landmark, ranging from heavy stone monuments to more experimental tower concepts, many of which were less practical than Eiffel's iron lattice structure. This image shows early employees of Google outside its first office in Palo Alto, California in 1999, including founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin, as well as Susan Wojcicki. It captures the company's early startup phase before its growth into a global technology corporation. This image shows two soccer players sharing an intense moment near the goal, likely during a key play or confrontation in a match. The scene captures the emotion and physical closeness common in high-stakes football situations inside the penalty area. This image shows the Stairway of Death at the Mauthausen concentration camp in Austria, a steep granite staircase in the Wiener Graben quarry area. Prisoners were forced to carry heavy stone blocks up its 186 uneven steps under brutal conditions, making it one of the most infamous examples of forced labor and suffering within the camp system. This image shows prisoners performing forced labor at the Mauthausen concentration camp in Austria, where detainees were exploited under brutal conditions as part of the Nazi camp system. Mauthausen held hundreds of thousands of prisoners, and a large number died due to starvation, exhaustion, abuse, and execution. This image is associated with former US President Barack Obama and is often described as a 2008-era campaign or media photo, showing him during a phone or conference call setting. It reflects his pre-presidency political period, when he served as a US Senator and was actively involved in national campaign communications. This image shows an industrial potato sorting facility near Krasnosilka, Ukraine, designed with a cantilever structure that allows trucks to pass underneath for efficient loading. The visible metal chutes direct sorted potatoes into waiting vehicles as part of the automated handling process. This photograph depicts U.S. Marines during intense urban combat in the Battle of Hue in February 1968, part of the broader Tet Offensive in the Vietnam War. It shows Marines taking cover amid ravaged city streets while engaging North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces during one of the war's longest and most destructive battles. This vintage photograph shows Australian diver Rodney Fox spearfishing in 1961, before his well-known 1963 great white shark attack.
The image reflects early recreational diving and spearfishing practices of the era, and is often referenced in discussions of his later contributions to shark conservation and the development of shark cage diving. This photograph shows a farmer working in a field during the 1999 NATO bombing campaign in Yugoslavia, with smoke from military strikes visible in the background. The image is often cited as a powerful depiction of civilians maintaining daily life and agricultural work amid the disruption and danger of armed conflict. This image shows the cruise ship Island Princess transiting the Panama Canal locks. Built to Panamax dimensions, the vessel was specifically designed to fit through the canal's original lock system, allowing it to operate routes connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. This image shows Robert Wadlow, known as the Alton Giant, who remains the tallest person reliably documented, reaching 8 feet 11.1 inches, 2.72 meters. His extraordinary height was caused by an overactive pituitary gland, and despite living only to age 22, he became a well-known public figure whose record has never been surpassed. This image shows Gallows, an 8-foot-tall bronze sculpture by artist Ruben Einen, standing near Tintagel Castle. Installed in 2016, the statue is often associated with the legends of King Arthur, though it was intended to symbolize the broader history and mythology of the site. Its name comes from the Cornish word for power. This image is associated with the early 20th century colonial period in Australia and is often discussed in relation to the harsh treatment and control of Indigenous Australians under colonial law enforcement systems. It is used by historians to highlight broader patterns of coercion, restraint practices, and unequal justice during that era, though specific details such as the exact location or individuals are not always reliably confirmed in all circulated versions of the photograph. This aerial image shows a rare full-circle rainbow over Cottesloe Beach in Western Australia, captured by photographer Colin Leonhardt from a helicopter using a wide-angle lens. Such circular rainbows are usually only visible from elevated viewpoints because the ground normally obscures the lower half of the arc. This image shows Burg Eltz, Eltz Castle in Germany, a well-preserved medieval fortress near the Moselle River that has remained in the ownership of the same family for centuries. Unlike many European castles, it was never destroyed in war and still retains much of its original medieval architecture. This image shows a rare ocean phenomenon known as cross seas or square waves, where two different wave systems intersect at angles and form a grid-like pattern on the water's surface. Captured near Ile de Ré in France, it is a visually striking but potentially dangerous condition that can create unpredictable and hazardous water movement for boats and swimmers.